Well, Pat, with that, let's get into the picks. Let's break it down. 9K and above on DraftKings, 3 tournament plays, a cash play, and a fade. I got to be honest. I was researching this today. I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I'm gonna use more bankroll this week than I have the last 2 with no cut, short field events. I'm excited for the full field. T65 and ties making the cut. Getting 6 of 6 in a lineup on DFS presents an edge. And of course, I'm excited about the old long shot season potentially making a return. I'm pumped about that too. So
Yeah.
I'll let you start, buddy. I usually start this, but
Yeah,
3
I'll
tournament plays, a
start.
cash play, and a fade.
So here's the deal. I have nobody over 10K here.
Interessante.
I'm not saying that I'm fading them. As a matter of fact, my favorite guy over there would probably be actually Doc Redman. But I just don't have a lot of strong conviction about any of these guys to want to play them. And I am going to mostly fade this range. So my first play that I will start with is actually Denny McCarthy at 9,500. I like him a lot this week. You look at the stats, checks the box of ball striking, approach, driving accuracy. He's top 15 in the field. He's number 1 in the field in strokes gained putting on Bermuda grass. So I think McCarthy definitely, this could be a great week for him. And he's been kind of, he knocked on the door a little bit at the Sanderson Farms. He's been in pretty good recent form. So I like him at 9,500. Next guy, I will go with some Henrik Stenson at 9,300. I think he's a guy that,
Wow.
Look, I know he missed the cut at the Sanderson Farms, but had a T21 in where was Punta Cana? Was that Mexico? Corrales. Yeah.
Hudson Swafford week, baby.
Yeah, that was a good week for us, man. That was a great week for us. Anyway, but if you look at the stats, another guy, again, 22nd ball striking, 4th in approach, 5th fairways gained, 5th in greens and regulation. Both stats I know you mentioned that you like. Now, his putting on Bermuda is not that great, but I think he could have a good week from Stenson. I mean, let's not forget that he's still a really good player. I think in a field like this, he could definitely – I don't think the ownership's going to be that high for him either. So I like Stenson at 9,300. And then dropping down to the bottom of this range, Peter Malnati at 9,000. I like him as well.
Wow.
Checks the box in ball striking, approach, opportunities gained when you're looking at, those chances for birdies. He's also second in the field, right behind Mr. McCarthy in putting on Bermuda. And Peter Malnati, I don't know why that's a hard name for me to say. He's been in good form too. You look at his last 2 finishes, a 5th at the Shriners and a 2nd at the Shriners at the Sanderson Farms. So those are my 3 GPP plays. My cash is going to be Denny McCarthy, and my fade is going to be Brendan Todd all the way at the very top, your champion from last year. Look, I mean, I don't want to pay that price for him. His form hadn't been great, and he didn't play well at the Zozo, didn't play well at the CJ Cup. Just not a big fan of old Todd this week. And I like him in general. I mean, I like him as a person. But I will fade that.
Great interview. Shockingly good interview.
He was a very good interview.
Can I just tell you, like, for guys like Brendan Todd, I've never confessed this before. When we get a guy on the podcast teed up for an interview, and they're a guy like Brendan Todd, and they're like kind of low key, kind of like a guy that, doesn't really demonstrate a lot of personality on the course. You don't really see a lot about them off the course, and they hit it really short. Like guys that hit it really short and just fairways and greens, I feel like they're going to be boring because they hit it short. Is that racist of me?
I don't understand why you would be so.
Should I be canceled? Is that
I
racist?
think you need to be canceled for that. No,
I think I'm judging his short knockerness and translating his boring AF style of golf of just hit fairways, hit greens.
It's prejudiced. That's what it is.
And then I'm just translating that to like this is going to be a terrible interview. But you know what? Brendan Todd is probably one of my favorite interviews we've ever done. He was hilarious. Very nice.
Yeah.
Great interview.
Who was one of the worst that we've done? Brooks Koepka.
Brooks Koepka, yeah. How about that? One of the worst, easily one of the worst.
Now, I think he would be better now than he was when we did it back then in the freaking church.
I think it would be marginal.
Wherever we were.
Yeah. I think it would be marginally better.
Maybe so.
But dang, you're right, man. Man, I am racist against.
Let me mention this about
short knockers.
About Brendan Todd, though. I mean, he hasn't. I mean, if you look at his last 24 rounds, I mean, the things that you want somebody to do well in this course, other than driving accuracy, he does check the box there. He's 4th in the field, but he's 90th in opportunities gained, 67th on approach, 87th in ball striking. Greens in regulation, he's 107th in the field. He does putt extremely well in Bermuda. So I don't know. I'm not feeling Todd this week. So
what's a really clever listener needs to. What's the term for what I just described? Like when you prejudge a short hitting golfer to be a boring human. What is that called?
I think you got to come up with a term for that.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Golf, that's
what I'm saying. Yeah. Anyway, great interview. If you've not checked that out, you need to listen to that. I'll give you a quick fun tidbit on that. He told a story about Brian Harmon, because they both played golf at Georgia together. He told a story about Brian Harmon and how he got the nickname Cockbite. Yes, Cockbite is Brian Harmon's nickname. Well, Pat, this is interesting.
And I'll tell you what, DB, the wild leap is going down really good tonight. Really good. So you go ahead with your picks, and they'll remake a drink here.
Okay. This is interesting. All right, let's start at the top. My fade that I had written down here is Brendan Todd. And here's the thing, like I look at the finishes, you talk about his form, not that great. Well, I don't know. I mean, he's playing in great tournaments, strong fields.
No cut either, I guess.
No cut. Some of the best players in the world. Like, I think the form is, you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But I don't know what it would take for me to play Brendan Todd as the highest price guy. I don't know like what that would entail, but to play Brendan Todd as the highest price guy, I don't think I would ever do. I just, in terms of DFS, I would never do it. So I can't do that. I can't justify it. I don't care if he's low owned. I just don't care. The odds, the implied odds of him finishing T5 or better, T10 or better, are very marginal compared to some people just below him. And I just can't do it. It's not like DJ's playing in this field. So just can't do it. I think we need to talk about Willie Z. Willie Z, I don't mind playing. He does have, I mean, basically if he makes the cut this week, he gets a special temporary exemption on the PGA Tour. He kind of takes it up a notch in terms of status on the tour. All he has to do is make the cut. I think he will 100%, 99% make the cut. So we'll see what his ownership shakes out to be. We'll talk through that in the Nut Hut, I'm sure. My cash play, Pat, is also your cash play, Mr. Denny McCarthy. Couldn't agree more with Denny. I won't belabor the point there. I think he's a very solid pick for that price range. The cut, the likelihood of him making a cut and the upside for Denny, I think, is very, very good. I'm a little surprised that you are willing to pay $9,000 for Peter Malnati. I'm a little perplexed by that.
I mean, there's going to be guys in this field that you're going to have to kind of like think it to yourself, do I want to pay that price for him? Because it's such a weak field. So yeah, I mean, I'm okay with playing that. I mean, looking at the form, the stats match up to the form, the putting matches up. I can stomach it. I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, I get it. I mean, it's Peter Malnati. I mean, geez. But here we are at the Bermuda Championship having to make a decision. I like him as a GPP player. And hopefully not everybody plays him and his ownership's low, because I don't think he's going to have high ownership.
Well, more shocking than you being willing to play him at $9,000 is the fact that I also am willing to play him at $9,000 and wrote him down as a GPP play at $9,000. I hope that is not indicative of other talking heads wanting to play him. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like maybe he's going to be more popular than we think if both of us ended up being on him without talking about this. That bothers me a little bit, but I like him for all the reasons you mentioned as well. Now, my other two tournament plays, I'm going up to, and I am going to go above 10K. and it's going to be Doc Redman at 10-4. Doc Redman has incredible, upside here, winning upside here, checks all the boxes that you need him to check. He just needs to make some putts. That's all he needs to do. The form is there. But Bermuda is actually a surface where he doesn't lose strokes, which is promising for Doc. So yeah, I think the upside for Doc at 10-4, I love it. And then I'm going to go with Emiliano Grillo. And Emiliano Grillo scares me because he cannot putt. But the ball striking, I think about, if the wind does play a factor here, I love the ball striking ability of Grillo. He hits a lot of greens. I mean, he's third in this field in greens and regulation gained and strokes gained approach. Now, fun fact, if you do look at proximity, Pat, from 100 to 125 yards, Emiliano Grillo is number 1 in this field. He can't putt, but he can't putt no matter what surface he's on. He can't putt. The form is there. I just feel like it's a really safe play where if he putts okay, there's tremendous upside. If the wind kicks up, I feel like I'm good whether the wind plays a big factor or it doesn't. I feel like he's one of those players that can do both. So I'm going Grillo, Redman, and Malnati. Redman, the only one that played here last year, finished 35th. By the way, McCarthy played here last year, finished 15th. So there you go.
I struggled a lot with Emiliano this week. I was just looking at him. I had him as a GPP play. Then I literally switched him to a fade. Then I had him back to so I don't mind it at all. The putting on Bermuda really just in general it's everything. The guy just can't putt no matter what. Oh God. Okay, 8K range. I'll start. I am gonna go with the Euro teenager, Rasmus Højgaard. I don't know if that's how you say his name. Very little PGA Tour experience, coming over here making this event. Just finished playing the BMW at Wentworth, which is the last event he played. Missed a cut at the U.S. Open, played pretty poor there, but won the UK Championship back in August. Before that, he finished 3rd, 6th, and 2nd in a couple of other Euro events. He won in December of last year at the Fraser Bank Mauritius Open. The kid has some chops, and we do talk a lot from time to time when you have European Tour. That didn't make sense. Talk a lot from time to time. We do talk from time to time that when you have these European Tour guys that come over and play in these events, you got to be careful because, the level of play is not typically the same. However, in this event, such a weak field event, it's one of the weakest rated fields on the PGA Tour in a while. This kid has competed in, I believe, equivalent or stronger fields on the European Tour. This is not a typical PGA Tour event where you've got these European guys coming over. And he's an aggressive young player that hits it really well, hits it far, and I think can come out here and show what he's, let him hang a little bit. So I like Rasmus at 8,800. I think you're going to have some touts talk him up a little bit that are going to be more familiar with some of the European Tour names, but I don't think he's going to get a ton of love, especially if you're playing the big $10 contest or something like that, a real public contest. I don't think he's going to get a lot of love, so he may give you a little bit of an ownership edge there. There's a number of names in here I like, but after Rasmus, I'm going to go to Adam Schenk. He didn't play here last year. It's his first time playing here. Putts really well on Bermuda. Has been making a ton of cuts. He's just been consistent. He hasn't really knocked on the door in terms of a top 10, but he's been consistent, and I like what I'm seeing there. Doesn't do anything super well, decent iron player, but just a steady guy of late. And I like the value at 8,100 that I get on Schenk. And he is also my cash play. I would roll with Schenk and cash. So I'm going McCarthy and Schenk so far in cash. My fade is going to be Maverick McNeely at 8,300 as well. Bermuda, easily his worst surface, and he's known to be, he's a decent putter in general, but Bermuda's his worst. His approach numbers and his accuracy, his fairways gain numbers over the last 24 rounds, pretty abysmal for Maverick. So
At 8,300, I mean, I obviously like Schenk and Hogard more. I like a couple other names in here more than him. So I think that was an easy fade for me.
All right. Well, interesting. So I do like the Hogard pick. I think that I didn't write him down, but I think that's a good pick. Schenk was one of my GPP plays, so we'll go ahead and get that out of the way. So that's for all this, again, the same reasons you said. My other GPP play is actually Scott Piercy at 8,500. I like him this week. You know, he's been in decent form, had a top 20 in his last start. You look at the stats, I mean, really good ball striking, top 5 in the field, 6th in approach, 7th in opportunities gained. You know, driving accuracy checks the box. Putting has been the issue for him on Bermuda. He does not, you know, typically putt well on Bermuda, but I just like where he's at as far as his game's concerned. So Scott Piercy at 8,500, I think is a good play. My cash play, I'm surprised you didn't mention this guy because, and maybe it's just because we always talk about him, but Henrik Norlander at 8,900. I mean, the guy is, you know, he's making cuts. He checks every single box. I mean, literally, if you look across the board for Henrik Norlander, even a lot of times you'll see, okay, they check the box in approach, you know, driving accuracy, greens and regulation, but then putting, it sucks. Well, not for him. I mean, it literally is across the board, you know.
Well, he's not a great putter.
No, but he's 28th in the field and putting on Bermuda. That's not bad. I mean, he may not be a good putter in general.
Shows
but
how terrible the field is at putting on Bermuda.
Yeah. So
because Henrik's a bad putter.
Well,
but by the way, Henrik will be on the show soon. He will be on the show soon, and don't sleep on him. Very funny guy, sneaky funny guy.
He is.
And very honest. He'll be very honest about some stuff. Yeah.
So
and
I like
the other
him
thing
as
about Henrik, and I didn't mention him just because I know he's popular. I was trying to go with something, but in this field, there may be 2 or 3 other players in the field that hit it more on the titties than Henrik Norlander. Like dead center every single time, incredible ball striker. Like great ball strikers that are regulars on the PGA Tour would tell you that Henrik Norlander hits it extremely solid every single time. So when plays a factor, Henrik's a good play for that.
Yeah, and I love it. So he will be my cash play, and you can play him in tournaments if you want as well too. And then Danny Willett, 8,200. He's
I can't believe you didn't say Willett. Remember when you used to say Willett all the
literally, time? If you saw my mouth moving while you were talking, it was because I kept looking at it, and I was like, I know I'm going to say Willett. I know I'm going to say it. I don't know why it happens every single time, but I did it right that time. He's my fade. Look, we haven't seen him since the U.S. Open, which he missed the cut, but that's fine. I mean, like, look, everybody kind of missed a cut there, it seems like. And he was showing some form, but if you look at him from a stat standpoint here, it's terrible. I mean, 85th ball striking, 105th approach, 82nd in driving accuracy, 99th in greens and regulation, and doesn't putt very well on Bermuda. I think Danny Willett is a guy that you just fade this week and don't play at all. I know he's a bigger name in this range if you like the name guys, but at 8,200, don't want to play him. Do want to play Peter Malnati at 9,000. Don't want to play Danny Willett at 8,200.
Oh, Danny was your fade.
Yeah, he was my fade.
Oh, I thought you said you wanted to play him. Okay. All right. Hey, before we get into this, by the way, I want to remind everybody about the Nut Hut contest, the Listener League contest. If you're in the Nut Hut as a member, be sure and get in the weekly DraftKings Listener League contest. It's free to enter. If you win, we're going to do one every single week. So there's 40-something more chances to do this. Every single week, we're going to do a Listener League contest, free to enter. And the winner of that week's tournament is going to then advance to the finals in the summer of 2021. We're going to have other ways you can advance to the finals as well. But basically, you just need to play every week. And then the winner after the finals is over at the Northern Trust. Is that right? Is it the Northern Trust we're going to do, or is this a tournament before that?
It's the Northern Trust because that has a cut.
Okay. Whatever the first playoff event that has a cut is going to be the finals. Whoever wins that is going to win a trip to either Augusta or Savannah to play golf with me and Pat, either at my home course at Champions Retreat, where they host the Augusta National Women's Amateur, or Pat's home course in Savannah at the Landings, where they host the Corn Ferry Tour event at Deer Creek. Both beautiful spots. We'll have a great time. We'll take care of your expenses. It'll be great. It's going to be a lot of fun, but you got to get in. And the more weeks you play, the more chances you have to do it. Now, the Nut Hut is popping right now. Absolutely popping. We've moved over to Discord.
Yeah, I love it.
I feel like everybody's moved over to Discord. We've not had any more problems. But I did record a YouTube video. It's like 4 minutes. If you go to our YouTube page, I recorded a YouTube video on how to sign up and then get to the Discord channel. It's very easy. If you're having problems, you're confused, or you're scared, and you just want to watch that video, it's 4 minutes. It'll make it very clear for you. But go to tourjunkies.com to start. If you haven't already, create an account, a Nut Hut account. It's $10 a month or $90 for the year. We would love for you to go ahead and do that. I do believe Nut Hut prices will be increasing in 2021 as we've taken on a little more finances with Discord and the whole other, the new member back end and all that stuff. So get in now. It's a good time. And we got super sharp people. Anthony, our boy Anthony AC's in there. Tim Gaiman, not crazy Marcus Miklovich. Plenty of sharps in there. Kistler is just funny. Nita's in there. She's awesome. Bunch of sharp people in there.
Yeah.
We got our boy Josh, who won the Millionaire Makers, in there. Like, give me a break. So
it's good stuff. I mean, and people are in there all day. I'm surprised at how much time
all day.
people
Well,
have.
the Discord makes it easy now.
Yeah,
Discord
you just
makes
get
it
on
easy
your
to be in
phone
there.
and Discord's unreal. It has been
Discord's
a
a lot
great
of fun.
change. Now, it was a little bit of pain. We had a little bit of a pain moving over, and then once it started, but I think now we've hit our stride a little bit. So,
weekly caddy info as well. Typically,
and everything is all sectioned out. Like, so if you need the caddy info, you can go into that section. You can do like I did. There's actually a Nut Hut football section, and I started commenting.
It's the Hut.
Yeah, I started commenting in the Hut about last night's game, but I thought I was in the Hut, but I was actually in the Nut Hut. So like I'm sitting there talking about some football player, and Crazy Marcus is like, "What the F are you talking about?" So then I figured out how you can delete messages and things like that, because I was like, I got to get
how about it, huh? Technology,
I got to get that out of there before David sees it and gets on to me the next day about like you were talking about Will Disley, the tight end for the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, I mean, the fact that we can share these GIFs and photos and videos so easily on Discord, and you can save them, like Crazy Marcus is making these wild GIFs and Photoshop things. I can just save them to my phone. That's great. You got the caddy info channel. You got it's just a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. It's made me get more involved in it, and it's just a fun community. And honestly, it has really driven me in the last couple of weeks. It's driven me to want to have a listener event in 2021 more than I've ever wanted to have one. Because I want all these people. I want to meet all these people and have some fun.
Such a great community. I don't know where you're going next, but I'm going to tell you to start the 7K range because I got to go do something real quick, and I'll be right back.
You gotta your prostate acting up. You gotta go take a leak.
That's acting up.
All right. Let's get to, by the way, also, if you're a member of the Nut Hut, you get 20% off everything in the shop. By the way, brand new Tour Junkies towels coming to the shop. Our old towels are great. These new ones, way better. Okay. I'm just going to tell you. Got new ones coming. Those will be hitting the shop this week. You get 20% off of everything you purchase. Brand new items, old items, don't matter. If you're a member of the Nut Hut, you get 20% off anything you buy. Those are hitting the shop this week. And if you're a Nut Hut member, you always know first if we're going to do some sort of event. And we're also working on getting Nut Hut members deeper discounts with some of our sponsors. Working on that actively. I'm excited about it. All right. Let's get to the 7K range. Of course, Pat would leave me with this. There's some hard decisions to be made up here. All right. I'm going to save my – well, all right. I'll start with this. I'll tell you my fade. I'm fading Patrick Rodgers, the guy – and I've played Patrick Rodgers a little bit this year. The price, the value for Patrick Rodgers at $7,900, when you look at his form and the key stats for him. It is just, it's not great. He missed the cut here last year. He's an awful wedge player, terrible wedge player. Accuracy off the tee, terrible. Strokes gained approach over the last 24 rounds, terrible. Basically, he's a good putter. He is a good putter, and he hits it a long way. But I think the distance is neutralized here, and I don't love that he can't hit a fairway. And if he's spraying it off the fairway and his irons are bad, wind or no wind, I don't like it. So Rodgers is my fave. My cash play is going to be, and I would play him in tournaments as well, is Sepp Straka. At 7,600, I love Sepp here. Georgia boy, good from a couple key wedge distances. Can score with the best of them. Gain strokes on Bermuda. It's not his best surface. It's actually better on bent, but gain strokes on Bermuda. And when you look at the recent form, you kind of see a little hit and miss. I mean, I think the Sanderson Farms miscut was kind of shocking. 43rd at the Shriners, not much to write home about, but Punta Cana did okay. Safeway did pretty good. Missed a cut at the Northern Trust and Wyndham, and 66 at the PGA. All three tough fields, stronger fields. But he's got top 10 upside. Like we've seen the top 10 upside. 4th place at the Houston Open last year. 4th place at the Amex earlier this year. 8th at the Rocket Mortgage. So like he's got go low ability, and he can score. And on the par fives where he can take advantage of his distance, I think he will. So I like Sepp and cash. For tournaments, 3 tournament plays in the 7K range. I'm going to play Wesley Bryan. I think this is a perfect spot for him. It's a perfect course for him. And we've seen him come off his medical and play pretty well lately. 12th at the Sanderson, 31st at the Wyndham, 21st at the Rocket Mortgage. He's always been a good putter, and the approach play has been really solid. He always finds fairways. He's gained a little distance. He's a really good wedge player. I like him at 7,800. And then I'm going to drop, and I like a few names up here. I'm going to have to skip though. I want to try to give you some lower priced guys here. All right. I'm going to go with old Duff Daddy. I'm going to go with Jason Duffner. Horrible putter. That's going to be the key. But he's one of those guys that he's so good tee to green. He checks every box, literally top 10 in this field in wedge play, greens in regulation gained, strokes gained approach, top 20 in fairways gained. Just can't putt. If he can make a few putts, also if the wind kicks up, another player who hits it out the center a lot. I like the value for Duffner at 7,100. And then finally, I'm going to go with Cameron Percy, the Australian. Played here last year, finished 48th. He's been in good form. We've seen some good finishes out of him in the last few weeks. 6th in the field in the strokes gained approach, 14th in greens and reg. Decent wedge player, 8th at the Corrales, 23rd at the Safeway. I think Percy's going to give you some salary relief at 7K, and I don't think he'll be all that popular. So that's the 7K range. Oh, you got the towels?
Towels.
Look at those towels. Show them the logo on that though. And now these are tour towels, so they're full size. They're like They're like bigger towels. These are not full on bath towels, but
these things are. So that's the black one.
If you're a real player, you use these towels.
This is the white one.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Look,
and the embroidery on those bad boys are fire.
And look, just like it's got some.
That gets in the grooves real well. That right there hits those grooves. Very satisfying. That's a satisfying towel.
Wow, I heard you mention Jason Duffner, so I was thinking about putting him down. I was scared. I have to admit, I was scared to talk about him, and so I didn't. And
what?
Now I'm kind of regretting that a little bit.
Hey, while you're doing this, I'm gonna go get some more ice so I can pour me another drink.
All right, so I'm going to start. I don't even know who you picked, so I'm just going to go with the guys that I like here. So I like some Scott Stallings at 7,800. I think he is a really good tournament play. I mean, you look at the stats for him, checks the box in ball striking, approach, also opportunities gained, and greens in regulation. Decent to not so decent putter on Bermuda, but still, I think this is a good week for him. He actually played. I believe he played here last year. Could be wrong. Yeah, he played here last year. Had a T18 finish. So I think Scott Stallings makes for some sense. And you look. Does that even like makes for some sense?
Makes for some sense. He makes for some sense.
He makes for some sense. He did miss the cut in his last event with Shriners, but finished T6 at Sanderson Farms. So I like Scott Stallings. Another guy I'm going back to the well on, Tyler McCumber, down here at the bottom at 7,300. Even though he missed the cut in his last event, I still like where the form is. You know, you look at the stats for him, checks the box in ball striking, approach, opportunities gained. We know he's a birdie maker. I mean, that guy's as aggressive as they come. He may be short in stature, but it's not like he can't get it out there. You know, the guy can hit it.
Who are you talking about?
Tyler McCumber.
Dude, Tyler's a bomber.
Yeah, I love Tyler.
Is he that short? He's like our height, my height.
He's kind of small. He's smallish in stature. Dude, you can't come from Mark McCumber being your dad and like.
Dude, we interviewed Tyler in person at the web.com event. I swear to you, he's probably my height.
No, that is total BS.
I'm going right now to the PGA Tour to see what they say.
He's no way he's over 6 feet tall.
I didn't say I'm not over 6 feet tall. There's his dad, Mark.
Anyway, I like Mark McCumber. The other guy that I like down here in the 7,100 area,
5'10". He's 2 inches shorter than me.
He's not a big guy. Is Doug Gim at 7,100? Another guy that checks the box.
Maggot. Doug Gim.
Look, we're trying to find some plays here for the folks. I mean,
whoa, that was really strong.
Look, he did finish.
The boy just made a very strong pour.
Okay. Gim was 23rd at the Sanderson Farms. Looking at the stats, checks the box in ball striking, approach, opportunities gained, driving accuracy, greens and regulation. I like some Doug Gim. I think he makes for a great tournament play, low owned. As a matter of fact, I think he could be a decent bet. By the way, what was that number I saw on him? Anyway,
we've already spent way too much time on Doug Gim.
That's it. That's all I've got there for him. My cash play is Stuart Sink. Sink is being Sink. He's playing well. This is another short course. He didn't have to do
sucked after he kicked his son off the bag, though. He was doing so good, and then he got Kip Henley back on the bag, and he lost 10 strokes with his irons that week.
That
literally
is
10. Literally 10. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not. You know how some people like throw in he lost 10, just put 10 the number in there just for kicks and giggles. No, he literally lost 10 strokes.
When did he kick him off? Because he finished. He followed up the win, and he had a 12th place finish at Sanderson Farms. Was his son on the bag for that one?
Yeah, are you kidding? Was his son on the bag for that? That's all the freaking broadcast shoved down our throat the entire day. I was remember I had who was the guy he cucked for me? I had that week.
When he won was when they shoved it down our throats. I'm talking about the Sanderson Farms with the.
He was on that one too. He let his son go one more. He was on that one too. Okay. And then he kicked him off, and he lost 10 shots on approach for Kip Henley. Like Kip was like giving him, I don't know what, like in the weeks he was off, he forgot how to add or something.
Either way, in this 7K range, I think Sink is a pretty safe cash play. I mean, as safe as they get for a 7K range guy. My fade is going to be a guy that you mentioned early in the podcast of having a great round here. That is Russell Knox. Yes.
That's your fade, huh?
Yep. Russell Knox is going to be in fade at 7,600.
Interessante.
I think the ownership's going to be a little bit high on him for this range. He's missed his last 2 cuts. You look at the stats for him; they're decent, but he's 104th in the field in putting on Bermuda. He's 72nd in greens and regulation, 55th in fairways gained. So I think Russell Knox could be a little bit of a trap play this week. So he will be my fade in this category. I didn't hear any of what your plays were. Was there anything that I said that you had agreement with, or were you totally different? Which I kind of hope you were totally different. But
I kind of like the Scott Stallings play. I'm a little. I can't decide if I like sink or not at 79. I hate your Doug Gim play. Let me ask you this. So we've learned a lot about PointsBet lately, which is a new place that you can bet on. It's a legal sports book in New Jersey, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, very soon to be Colorado, and very soon to be Tennessee. If you're in those states and you've not signed up for PointsBet, we would encourage you to. And you can do so using one of our promo codes. We have TJ250, which gets you a free $250 bonus when you deposit up to $250. So TJ250 or TJ Bet. Check that one out. That gives you a couple of free bets up to like $1,000. I think it's pretty sweet. So TJ Bet or TJ250 are your promo codes for PointsBet. I was just about to ask you because PointsBet hasn't set their points betting numbers yet. They've got outrights up and top 10s and top 20s. All that's up. But Doug Gim, I wonder what his PointsBet number would be because I would take the over basically. I mean, unless they give me like 120, I would take the over on Doug Gim. So PointsBet does this thing where they do all the traditional betting stuff, but they also will set an over number and an under number for a player. And let's say for Doug Gim, it is 65th place, right? Let's say that's the over number. If I bet the over on that, and let's say I bet $5, that's my stake. If he finishes 75th, 10 spots worse than what the 65 number was, you multiply 10 times 5, I win $50 because I said he would go over. If he finishes 45th place and I pick the over, then it's 20 spots better times my 5, and I have to pay 100 to PointsBet. Very interesting game. But I wonder what his number will be come tomorrow afternoon, and I would take the over because I think Doug Gim is a terrible play here.
Okay, that's whatever. I'm going to take a lot of risks this week.
Anyway, PointsBet's a lot of fun.
It is. That's a good game.
Check out tourjunkies.com. I wrote an article about how to play, kind of an intro to it. I'm really interested in it. And so if you want to just get a quick read about it, you can go to the blog and check out my PointsBet article. So, all right, 6K range. We ready for that?
Yeah.
Few names in here I like. I like your boy Lebioda, your doppelganger.
I like
Hank finished third here last year, and I think a lot of people will probably be on to him. Finished third. He's not a great putter. That's his problem. He's gotten a putting lesson he's gotten some new putting insight lately, which I hope pays off. And he's been doing okay. 44th at the Sanderson, 21st at the Corrales, 26th at the 3M. That's all good. So he comes now to a place he's comfortable. He finished third last year. Like I think that's a promising thing for young Hank. So I like that. I like, this is weird to say. Okay. I don't say this often. I like David Hearn at $6,700. 33rd at Corrales, 14th at Safeway, always hits fairways. He's another, guy who, if we were interviewing him, I'd be like, oh God, this is about to be the most boring interview in the world. Hits a lot of fairways, decent wedge player. Finished 8th here last year, so he's got a little bit of experience. I kind of looked at some guys down here that have played this event and played it well. I love some Chris Baker at 6,500. Recently found out he's not European. He's from like Indiana or something. But he checks a lot of boxes. He is 8th in strokes gained approach, 11th in greens and reg, 10th in fairways gained, checks a box in the wedge distances, all of the above. He's like top 10 or top 20 in the last 24 rounds. So played here last year, finished 31st. Michael Gligic. Gligic really ticked me off last time I played him, but I think Gligic is an interesting play. He's been solid, and he played here last year as well, finished like 58th or something. And then finally, a guy I don't know that I've ever played at $6,400, finished 11th here last year. He was one of the names I told you shot a 64 here last year, and that's Josh Teeter. Very accurate player, good wedge player, really good wedge player, actually. And best putting surface is Bermuda. So I'll go with Josh Teeter at 64. I got 5 names down here.
Wow. I'm just going to give you, well, I got a few because you already mentioned a couple of them, but Baker is one of them. So for the same reasons, I do like Baker, and Lebiota is another one that I liked as well. But I'll give you three more or two more that I like besides those two. I like Bo Hostler at 6,900. Now, I never seem to get this guy right, but
You don't. I don't think
his,
you've ever gotten Bo Hostler right.
I've never gotten him right, but he's made his
Do you
last
only
four.
like Bo Hostler because he wears one of those oversized visors that makes you think he's like young Freddie Couples? Are you like lusting over Bo because as he's walking down the fairway and you see that big old visor coming off his front head, you think, oh
he's
my
got
God,
a good
look at Freddie. Look at Freddie.
Okay. Let's not get into that because Hostler isn't even close to having the amount of swag that Freddie Couples has. Hostler, Bo. He's not even close. Like, don't even get him in the same realm as Freddie Couples. So let's get that out of the way. That makes me mad just even thinking about it. But he's been playing pretty well. He's made his last four cuts. You know, I mean, the stats aren't great, but I mean, he's has some good finishes. So I like
back in the 90s, like kids would lay their heads down to go to sleep at night and they'd look up at their ceiling, and most kids, teenage boys maybe, would have a poster. Remember when posters were a thing? You go to like Spencer's and you get a really raunchy poster. Most posters were like Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell, or like Pamela Anderson from like Baywatch or Barbed Wire. Remember those days? You'd have one of those. One of my buddies.
I know where you're going because this is totally different.
You would have a Fred Couples. Pat would be looking up at Fred Couples. Oh, Freddie.
No.
Freddie be looking down on him with his big old visor.
You're not comparing this right.
Ashworth shirt on, and Pat, you probably slept in an Ashworth polo.
People would have. You
slept in an Ashworth polo.
This is not a good comparison. People had.
You're not denying it. You still haven't denied it.
I have not slept in an Ashworth polo. Well, I may have, but I can't remember. Anyway, but people are not like, I still had the posters of the Kelly Kapowskis and the Pamela Andersons, but it's like you may have had a Bo Jackson or a Michael Jordan or something like that. You know, that might Herschel Walker.
I can't
believe I mentioned Bo Jackson before Herschel Walker. But anyway, poster. But here's the thing. Couples was just, I mean, he had the it factor when he was, in his heyday. And you know what he did? By the way, you know what he did? He did this all the time.
Stop it.
He did the shoulder thing that I do all the time. Go watch the tape. He does it all the time.
Okay, but a lot of golfers do that before they're about to hit a shot. Like Patrick Reed does that. And they'll do that kind of tucking their sleeves under
Couples will like walk down the fairway and he'd be like,
oh my God, that's where you got it from. That makes it even worse. You cannot convince me otherwise that you didn't have a poster of Fred Couples up on your ceiling.
Anyway, I didn't have a poster of Fred Couples, but I probably would have if they made them. I don't think that they made golf posters back in the day like that until Tiger came along.
Fun fact, very, very quick story. My dad pulled Fred Couples over. Have I ever told you that story?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Pulled Fred Couples over.
I think you've already told it on the pod, but I could be wrong.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll stop there.
Last play, I'll go with Chase Seifert at 6,600. Did miss the cut at the Shriners, but had a T17 at the Sanderson Farms, 41st at Corrales. You look at his stats. Where are his stats? Where are your stats, Chase Seifert? Not bad. 31st in ball striking, 30th on approach. Driving accuracy, greens and regulation checks the box, and putting on Bermuda as well. So Chase Seifert at 6,600, last play in that range.
Did you know? Do you have any Fred Couples cards?
What do you mean, like a sports card, like a baseball card?
Yeah.
No.
Are those a thing?
Do they make golf cards?
Like they make golf cards. I have a couple from like way back in the day.
I don't, but what is your I
think I have a Luke Donald card.
I think this is interesting. What baseball card have you owned is like your most coveted
Ken
baseball?
Griffey Jr.
Do you still have it?
Yeah, I have like 60 King Griffey Jr. cards, all in hard cases. Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
Mine is like an 86, 85 or 86 Mark McGuire.
Ooh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
I have a
People are
signed
into
Bob Feller. I have a signed Bob Feller 1949 Bowman card.
People are into the cards these days. I'm
They
seeing
are.
that
They've
more and
come
more on
back.
the social. By the way, speaking of baseball cards, one of the first baseball cards that I got was, did you know that there was a pitcher in the major leagues named Pat Perry?
No.
There is.
No.
I think he
All
played
right.
for the Reds. Anyway, we're going off the rails here.
Yeah,
But
it's already been too
this
long.
is the
Well,
Bermuda Championship. So